20 years ago, in 1998, Venezuela began going through the crisis it is currently in. How did it all begin? On the presidential election of 1998, Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías ran for the presidency against Enrique Salas Romer, in which Chávez won by 56% of the votes, leaving Salas at 40%. This led to the beginning of the crisis.
It started small, changing the flag from 7 stars to 8 stars, making his way across the Venezuelan government, slowly making sure he would stay in power. He stayed in power for 11 consecutive years. He couldn't keep running because he fell ill and died.
This is the part in which Nicolás Maduro, vice president under Chávez, comes in. He ran in the election of 2013 after Chávez's death. In the election, candidate Enrique Capriles Radonsky won. However, it was rigged, so Maduro won anyways. This marked the beginning of one of the worst Venezuela's crises have ever been.
Many families started to flee, and in 2014, the guarimbas were at its peak. Children missed school during the carnival season, being in February, because it was too dangerous to even leave your own house. Places were being bombed, and people were desperately trying to hold on to hope. In 2015, one of Venezuela's activists, Leopoldo López, got unjustly arrested for inciting violence. In the protests of 2014, he was sentenced to prison to nearly 14 years.
Leopoldo López was only one of many political figures who were unjustly arrested because they stood up against Maduro's corrupt government and dictatorship. Later, towards the end of 2015, things started to get even worse. The humanitarian crisis was stronger than ever. Food was scarce, and the lines trying to get food were unbelievably long. People would be in a line from dawn to dusk with no food, to finally reach the end of the line to be told that there was no more food available to buy.
People had to go to the supermarkets on specific days depending on the number of their ID.
Maybe there was flour, but it was on Tuesday, and your day is Thursday, so you're stuck hoping that there will be flour on Thursday. People were struggling to find anything. Medicine, food, gas, if you can name it, it was probably scarce. In 2015, on December 6th, the opposition finally won an election, a small one that is, and people thought things were going to change, but you guessed it, they didn't.
In 2016, many incidents happened in the lines to get food. It was horribly hot, Venezuela being a tropical country, and people were not in the best conditions to wait in line for incredibly long hours. Food was very scarce and people were starving. This period of time was one of the hardest ones.
In comes 2017, and this year, everything just got very bad. The major protests began. Venezuelans were going out on the streets every day, blocking them. The military under Maduro's power started to fight the Venezuelans, and by the end of the year, 165 people have been killed fighting for freedom.
And to the important question, how did Venezuela get into this situation?
Venezuela was, and is, sitting on top of one of the world's largest oil reserves. The oil reserve was the source of Venezuela's profit and revenue, and slowly, Chávez lowered the price, and as the dollar-bolivar ratio got higher, oil became cheaper. With Maduro, the inflation was bigger than ever. The dollar-bolivar ratio was huge in difference, and oil, the main source of revenue, wasn't profiting. This resulted in Venezuela going into the crisis it is currently in.
2018, things continued, but not as bad. However, 2019 is a whole another story. In early January, Maduro was taken out of the presidency and replaced by Juan Guaidó. In January 23rd, Venezuelans all over the world, in Spain, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, Venezuela, and here, everywhere, went out to protest. And around 12 p.m., a new president was proclaimed. Juan Guaidó became our official president, and change finally began.
People all over the world were ecstatic. After 20 years, change was finally arriving. Presidents and leaders all over the world began to recognize Guaidó as a president, and they began to send help. Maduro, however, still thinks he's a president.
On February 22, 2019, the Venezuela Aid Live concert was organized, where people donated money to help the situation. It was beautiful and wonderful from a moment for many Venezuelans.
Lastly, February 23, 2019, more protests were done. A president in charge has gone all over Latin America, meeting the presidents of
Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, Chile, Ecuador, Argentina, and even the Vice President of the United States.
And now, March 7th, 2019, there's been a huge power blackout all over the country. There's no running water or electricity. People are doing lines to take showers in sewers, and hospitals, the patients are dying, specifically newborn babies.
But that is it now. Now we're here, hoping for change.
But all we know now is that change is coming, and it's definitely happening.
¡Vamos bien, Venezuela!